Welcome to Scrap Hoarders. After years of crafting and card making, the team of 11 crafters will brave their piles and bins of paper scraps to help you destroy yours. Last time on Scrap Hoarders, we discovered ways to eliminate scraps by creating embellishments to add to paper projects. On this channel, you saw how to cut up your cut-aparts, use your punches, create foam metal, and even make DIY action wobblers. If you missed that episode, check it out here. Hi guys, this is Debbie with Debbie J's Crafting Corner. I want to welcome you back to the Scrap Hoarders collaboration series. There will be 11 crafters in this collaboration, and for 3 weeks we are showing you different ways to use your scraps. We all have tons of scraps from our card making and other paper crafting, and this week we will be making tags and bookmarks. Last week we showed you how to use those scraps to make embellishments of all kinds. Next week we will take it up a notch and create some awesome cards. At the top of the description box, you'll find a link to the next person in the lineup. I encourage you to take the time to watch all 11 videos each week, and as always, we love your comments and thumbs up. And if you aren't already a subscriber, we hope you will consider subscribing. Click the little bell so you won't miss the next volume of the Scrap Hoarders series. You can also use hashtag Scrap Hoarders to find all of our videos. Some of us might be offering prizes on our channel, so be sure to pay attention for details. And at the end of the 3-week series, we will have 3 grand prize winners drawn from those who watched and commented on all 11 videos each week. The grand prize drawings are going to be open internationally. Please check the description down below for all of the details. Today, we will discover fun ways to create bookmarks and tags to help you destroy your scrap stash. So let's get started. I've made bookmarks for gifts and my own use for years. This simple laminated bookmark I made 2 years ago, and I'm still using it today. At the time that I created it, I just used a stamp from Tim Holtz and colored up some cardstock. You notice that there was some bleeding through on the back, so I probably could have done a better job by just covering that. Over the last couple of months, though, I had used some of my scraps. These are all from a kit from Tailor-Made Cards for You, where I had some extra after creating my project, and I decided to make some simple bookmarks for those, and they turned out real pretty. And like I said, these are just some real simple laminated ones. You take a strip of paper and run it through your laminator. I'm going to do that on this first bookmark, but I am going to do something different for the others that I think you'll probably like. Something you may or may not know about me is that I'm pretty much a cheapskate and hate to waste anything. So whenever I laminate, I tend to trim it down before running it through my laminator. That means I have scraps of laminate too. This project is perfect for using some of that up because it uses smaller pieces. I'm going to be making bookmarks, but you could do the exact same process for making tags, meaning you can use up some of your scrap laminate for those as well. For the first bookmark, I'm taking a scrap that I had stamped on with just some travel stamps that I hadn't used. I was just doing a little bit of practice and playing with the stamp set when I was doing all this organization of my stuff. And I'm using a small basically a small laminating sheet pouch. I'm using that because it's the perfect size for this one, and I decided for this bookmark I'm going to go ahead and stamp and sign the back of it. So like that one that I showed you from 2 years ago, I will know how old this one is when I pull it back out, probably in the next couple of years or so. So this is just a stamp that I picked up at I think it was at Hobby Lobby a couple of years ago, and I do stamp on the back of most of my cards with this, and then I just sign it and date it so I know when it was that I did that. So I just put that strip inside that laminate pouch, and I decided to try something that I have never actually done before. In with the laminating pouches that I got from the Lamination Depot what, 2 years ago. I still haven't finished going through all of it that I got. I have all of these carrier sheets, or at least that's what I think they are, and I've never actually used them. So I decided to give that a shot and run it through my Cronova laminator. I am speeding this up quite a bit. As you probably already know, running anything through a laminator does take some time. The point on this part is that laminating carrier sheet did not work well for me, so I ran this through several times before starting to trim it down. So I'm going to be just trimming the excess off with my paper trimmer. And then, because the laminate was still cloudy, it looked like it did not get enough heat the first time around because the carrier sheet was in the way, I ran it through again. Now that it looks a lot better, I'm trimming off the last excess. What I'm trying to do is get about 1/8 of an inch past the seal line, which is usually at least 1/8 of an inch away from your paper. You have to be really careful with that. Otherwise, you're going to cut too close to your paper. You'll cut into that little air bubble that's around it, and it's going to fall apart. So since the original cardstock had been corner punched, I went ahead and corner punched this one, and now I'm just punching a hole through the little hole I already had there with my my crocodile. Then I'm taking out some grommets. Now this is probably something you have in your stash that you don't know what to do with, and it's perfect for bookmarks. It just gives it a real polished, professional look when you get finished. The type that I have are basically one piece, so I just punch it and it is all done. So all I have to do now is just find some ribbon and add that to it. So I'm going to use this scrap as the last bit I have of it, of blue ribbon. I feel that it'll go well with the colors that I used when I was stamping out that. And I'm just using a craft pick to help me poke that through and just tie it off. Then I'm going to trim the ends. And I decided I wanted to do a little fishtail on that, so I'm going to fold it in half and cut a fishtail. And then I'm going to grab my lighter that is just for craft use and just burn the ends a little bit so that it doesn't fray. And that is my first bookmark done. As you can see, this is a very simple design. You can do that on tags, you can do that for bookmarks, and you can actually knock a ton of them out and use up a bunch of your scraps as long as you've got the right sizes. Now for the other bookmarks that I'm making today, we're going to do something special. We're actually going to be making some laminated shaker bookmarks. Now I'm still going to be using the same scraps. What I'm having to do is cut some of the pages down and make the pieces. First off, this first part is going to be about 2 1/8 wide, and the reason for that is because my strips that I'm going to be using are 2 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to put them inside of a laminate pouch. Now, important part here is when you're putting them in, you need to make sure that the shiny side is together. The reason for that is that the matte side is the part that adheres to each other. So we're basically going to make some little pouches. This is something that is so cool, and I've done it before. It's been quite a while and I had completely forgotten about it. I had actually done one of my very first videos in 2017 was making traveler notebook shaker dashboards using this exact same method. So I think you're going to really enjoy this, and this is, in my opinion, it's much more durable than using a fuse tool. A fuse tool, my experience anyway, is probably where I wasn't using a good enough quality plastic, but they came apart too easy. All you had to do is pull a little bit and they come apart. I have tried using them for doing different storage, and like I said, I probably just wasn't using a good enough transparency. So after having cut off one end to make basically make the pocket, I'm sliding in one of my strips. Now, like I said before, the strip is 2 inches. The pocket should be about 2 1/8, which makes it a tight fit, but that is perfect. You don't want to have too much excess. And then I'm going to basically slide it to as close to the edge as I can to help me be able to cut it right. Now, I did make some errors on another couple of these because I couldn't see well enough to see where that edge was. And since it's clear, it is really hard to cut a straight line on that one and cut it where you want it. You want to leave 1/8 of an inch on the outside of the pocket. So you've got your cardstock in there, you've got a little narrow, usually up to 1/8 of an inch air pocket there. In our case, it's actually a complete pocket. And then you've got your laminate. So I'm trying to keep it as close as I possibly can on that and cut each of those. And you see I did a pretty good job on this one. I'm going to finish cutting those and then we're going to fill it with some shaker bits. So what I decided to use as my filler on my shaker cards is a bunch of seed beads. Now, there is a reason for that. I had tried, since these say happy, I thought they would be great little party things, and I do have some party confetti. They're all flat, and I thought it would work great. But when I tried it in there, they basically got stuck and everything stayed flat because there was nothing to give any kind of dimension. The beads, because they're round and they do have a little bit of dimension there, they puff it up just enough to make it so that it does shake around. So this, I think, worked out a lot better. I didn't have anything pre-made, so I grabbed out a bunch of my seed beads that I've had basically forever. I bought them specifically to put in shaker cards, and one problem I always have with these is they go everywhere. I'm always making a mess with them, and I usually try to use them in a bigger container, so I actually put everything in smaller ones, so hopefully I will use these more in the future. The colors are real pretty too, and I'm just doing a mixture of all the colors that are included in my pattern paper, and I think it's going to turn out okay. Now that I'm happy with the amount of seed beads in there, I'm just sealing the end with some Scotch tape. It does turn out to work out pretty well with that. You could also use some double-sided tape or something on the inside, but I figured this would be a good enough hold to make sure that nothing happens. And then to make sure that the tape doesn't come off, I'm also going to add a little topper to these. Now this is just a 2.5 by 2 inch piece of paper. I just scored it at the 1 inch mark, and then I'm going to use, you could use either a corner, either a border punch, or do like I'm using and use a pair of old Fisker's border scissors. I never use these. Actually, someone gave them to me a while back. I don't use them very often, but it's perfect for this. I didn't have to run out and find one of my punches. Then I am going to go ahead and use some score tape on this to make sure that that little topper stays on there really well. I'm putting a couple of lines of 8-inch score tape on each side, and then I'm going to use my art glitter glue and run it over that as well. For 2 reasons. Art glitter glue does hold really well, but secondly, it gives me a little wiggle room so I can make sure that I put this thing down straight. Now that those little toppers are on there, I'm going to punch a hole using my crocodile. First time I did it the wrong size, so make sure you use the bigger hole. But I'm going to put a hole in there on the end so we can put some ribbon in. For this one, also I'm using grommets just like we did on the first one. This is an awesome use for these. I'm so glad that I thought about doing that. And I'm just punching those. That's one of the things that the crocodile is for. It has got a grommet cruncher, I guess that's what you'd call it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to add some ribbon to this. Instead of the blue, because we did use up the last of it, I'm going to use a scrap of red, what I have left over from that. Which means I need to search my stash and see if I have any more, because I will be needing some of this, I'm sure, by Christmas. So I'm going ahead and cutting 2 of those pieces since I've got 2 shakers there, and then I'm just going to fold them in half, insert them through the hole, and then tie those off. So lastly, we just heat the ends of the ribbon, and that finishes this all up. Here are the bookmarks that I made for you guys today. Be sure to like and comment on this video and check out all of the other videos in the series so that you can enter the giveaway. I'd love to know what you do to destroy your stash, and if you make any bookmarks or tags, please let me know in the comments. I'd also like to see pictures, so feel free to send me an email at debbieJ@debbieJscraftingcorner.com. Thank you guys for dropping by, and have a wonderful crafty day. Remember, if I can make it, you can do too.